This is Annie, little Orphan Annie. It had about 4 or 5 owners, and it was a sad coach because everyone gave up on it. And he said, now it's happy because you got it. And I told him, I said, well, that's all well and good, but I'm not Daddy Warbucks.
Right. What do you got going on back here?
I don't tow, so usually I carry my tools and also my water hoses, sewer hoses, jacks and stuff like that back there.
Okay.
Just to keep them out of the inside of the coach.
So the paint was already done when you got
It was done when I got it. It does need a little touch up in the front here, but all in all, for 14 years, it doesn't look too bad.
No, it doesn't. Do you wax it fairly?
I don't really wax it. I use zip wax. It's kind of a car wash polymer. Took out the dash and they put a wooden dash in here. The reason that way I found out it was a wooden dash was half the things were screwed to the wood. They weren't grounded as far as the lights and stuff. So that was one of the things Jim had to do, was actually go in there. The other thing was funny was this map case right here, that wasn't there. We had to cut a hole in the dashboard to be able to get to the fuse panel behind it.
Oh, wow.
So, because see, I don't have a glove box like everyone else. So Jim made that. So when I do need to go in after a fuse, I can open that up and no one knows it's there. We also had a pigtail that was on the floor here when the shop did the rebuild up in Indiana. Well, we just moved this up and Jim had put this aftermarket air conditioner in because 73s were notorious for being lousy air conditioning. I mean, it worked, but it had so many twists and turns in the ductwork that you didn't get air. We tapped into the air conditioning system, the dash air, and it comes out these 3 here. And basically, I can cool this coach just with that going down the road. I put in my own gauges, autometer gauges. I figured if it's good enough for dragsters and NASCAR, it's good enough for me. So I put a vacuum gauge in and a transmission temperature gauge up next to the speedometer. I put in a volt gauge, a water temperature gauge, and an oil pressure gauge down here that I can glance at. And then just to the left of, on the steering column, I've got a sun tack. So I've pretty much run down the road with the tack and the vacuum gauge. Those are my primary gauges. This was a coach that when it would belong to a salesman at Lazy Days in Tampa. He and his wife wanted to make a party coach. Well, the problem there was after about $40,000, his wife decided they weren't having that much fun.
Okay.
Made him sell it. I flew down from Virginia to look at it, brought it over to Jim's shop. We came in on about 6 cylinders. We had filled up with oil before we left Tampa. By the time we got here, we had a quart of oil in the pan. Jim and I crawled over this thing, under it, around it for a day and a half, and came up with a list of about $15,000 of stuff that had to be done. But the neat thing was, and that was all mechanicals, the interior he had done by his buddies in the industry. This coach was done by a Prevost shop in Indiana that specializes in the high-end big coaches. Well, these guys did a beautiful job on the coach. I ended up talking to the foreman who actually led the work on this thing, and I got the pictures of the destruction, if you wanted to call it that, of this coach and then the rebuild. I've got the photographs of that. But he told me, he said that he hoped this was the last time he ever saw a GMC. Because everything that they did, if you look at it, you got curves. It doesn't have a straight wall. It's curved. He had to make templates for everything in order to get the stuff done. All of your corners here are rounded. That's what they do in Prevost. He lifted up the cabinets and made new cabinets that were a little shorter than the stock ones, but I've got a full window under here. under all my windows. We had a new engine. I have one of the last 455 flat tappet Koba engines built by Drew Koba. New transmission, torque converter, Honda generator, all bearings and brakes, the whole running gear, the whole thing. And over the years, we've replaced a few things here and there, the rear clip in the back. But all in all, it's been a great coach. Jim Bounds built this J-shaped couch for me and the table. I got storage underneath. He built these blue cabinets here. So for two people, this is a coach where you got plenty of room. Unlike a lot of GMCs, I can't complain about lack of storage space.
Right.
We've got space all over. We've got a heat strip up here. I'm getting ready to put a thermostatic control on that. We've got, the little cube heaters that we all use, and the thing is so well insulated, it doesn't really take that much. Other than that, she's a 73 that's been upgraded. She rides like a dream. I mean, it's like being out on the road on a yacht. The air suspension, it's nice. I can pull this thing into any gas station. I can pull it into any mall. I can pull it into any grocery store. I'm retired military, so I can go into military campgrounds. I can pull this thing just about into any place that you could pull a van. I need 2 parking spaces, but it's usually not that hard to find them. And we've even done a few nights overnight at Flying J and Walmart, places like that. We got the queen size bed in the back. We're comfortable.
So yours is a queen in the back then?
Yeah.
So most of the time it's just a double. What'd you do to get the queen in here?
I would say, what did they do?
Yeah.
Because the shop did it. How they did it, I really don't know.
Okay.
But it's comfortable. I end up sleeping up against the back window there.
Nice to wake up against it too.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes in the winter it can get a little chilly. That's why we have the insulation back there.
Okay.
But no, it's a neat coach. I enjoy it. My wife does. It's a fun thing to drive. It's a fun way to travel. The only thing is that when she drives, I usually go in the back and go to bed.
You can't handle it.
I can't sit in that right-hand seat. I don't see how any of the women can sit in that right-hand seat. Basically, I call that a suicide seat. I see those mailboxes coming up, and
makes you twitch.
It does. One of the only upgrades that we did besides the Honda generator was we've got Lee Harrison's airbags systems, and the reason we got that is 14 years ago they didn't have a Quattro bag, and my bags on this thing were the original 1973 bags, and they were getting ready to pop. So rather than buy the new original design bags, we went to that. There's nothing wrong with the stock bags, that are the new stock design new bags, but we just figured we would do this, just be a little different.
You want to show me what you're talking about?
Yeah, let's go outside. There are other airbags out there. There's a Sully bag, and there's some other ones, but this is what I went with. They're out here in the rear, and it's kind of a early 4-bag system, and we have a manifold up here that I can keep track of my air pressure, and this little bear has been working for 14 years.
Nice. And those are truck bags, so they're easily replaced, right?
Yeah, if I broke down and say any truck supply house could put those on for me, just about any mechanic. That's the other problem with the stock bags, where you'd have to carry a spare bag with you, and in my case I don't like to carry spares, because especially rubber, hoses or belts, because by the time I'm going to end up needing it, it's going to be dry rotted.
You
It's
didn't-
not for show, even though
Yeah.
we've been in some car shows. We went into a couple cruises and car shows, and beyond, they told us, they said, honest, we don't know what to do with you, because there was a show up here in Castleberry that we went to, and I asked them, I said, could I enter the motorhome in it? And they said, this is for street rods and customs. And I said, well, she had been shown on the Travel Channel drag racing at the Orlando Speedway. Well, as soon as I said that, oh yeah, you can put it in. So we entered it. They put us next to a building, threw us an extension cord, so we had lights and fans.